Hello everyone and welcome to another R&R Partners video. My name is Remus and today we are going to discuss the procedure for obtaining a work permit as of 2026. If you are new here and you are interested in either emigrating to Romania or starting a business in Romania, do note that you can subscribe to our YouTube channel as we post new and updated content as soon as the law changes. Speaking about the law change, this is where we are doing now this video because the work permits have changed as of April 2026. There is a new law which just got published. We had a few days to go through it. So this is kind of our hot take on the matter because additionally to the law, there are some new template contracts that must be published by the government. I am a bit curious of how they will play some of the provisions from the law, how they will put them in practice, and how they will do all the arrangements between the employer, employee, the workforce agency. Yes, we have a workforce agency as of 2026. We are going to get a bit in the thick of it, to say so, but let's take it step by step. So in the first part of this video, I'm going to go a bit over how the new law is structured and how everything is supposed to work out. But most important, and I want you to stay until the very end for this one, would be for those of you who are currently in Romania and are either in a legal stay or you have some difficulties with your employer and you want to change to a new employer and move on, because there are some particular provisions in the law which will state what you must do and what is the procedure in order for you to get in a legal situation or to change your employer. Also, if you are in this situation where you are currently in a legal state or you are not sure how the new law will play out, do note that you can always book a consultation with us and we can help you on your particular needs if you need so. However, at the moment, I could tell you that we are just seeing what is going to happen. And once we have additional information, we will try to put it out here so you guys could be the first to know about them. However, there are many things that you must put in order so everything will come out okay and you don't end up with a definitive return decision or something like that. Hopefully that doesn't matter. Good. So regarding the new law, there are some major changes, and from my point of view, we have now three main procedures in which you can get the work permit. There are two shortcuts, and also we have the normal procedure. I will start a bit with the shortcuts because I find this a little bit more interesting. So the first shortcut would be the one that is based on the employee. So you, as a non-EU citizen, if you're seeking to come to Romania and you found an employer, practically the procedure is the same as it was a few months ago. The employer, you find each other, you are a match. You need to provide proof that you're highly qualified, preferably have university degree and recognize that degree in Romania. And once you recognize the degree in Romania, the employer can apply directly for you to get you a work permit and a visa in order to come to Romania. So technically you don't need any intermediary. This can be done by any type of employer. The government has faith that both you, the employee, and the employer are adults in contract. Not either of you seek to have any gains of this. And from my point of view, this will be one of the highlights of the procedures, that we are trying to get highly qualified people on a fast track. And also, you would not be forced to work with a workforce agency, which generally speaking would be a burden on the relationship. There will be additional cost for the employer and somehow it translates to the employee at the end of the day. So being highly qualified now, it's worth more than it was a few months ago. Also, there is now a list of deficient workforce in our economy. So the government each and every 6 months will come out and put a list of deficient positions that need to be filled out by non-EU workers. And if you are not in that list, you cannot come to Romania to provide your expertise. However, for highly qualified, you are not bound to that list. The employer just needs to provide, as they provided until now, that they have one particular need in their business. They try to find a Romanian or EU citizen, they did not find. So they found you, a non-EU citizen, so they want you to come on that particular position. Now, not everything is sunlight and rainbows, you know. This procedure, again, you need a little bit more time to recognize your studies, and the wage that the employer must pay you needs to be above the median gross salary, and that's around 2,000 euro in the current day. So that would put you to be somewhere around 700 euro just to pay in taxes for your wage. Good. I initially thought this would be a little bit shorter, however, I sidetracked. Going back to the shortcuts. So the first shortcut, as I mentioned, is with the employee. You're a highly qualified employee. You can come to Romania and you can get employed here without the workforce agency and a bit faster. Now, the second shortcut, it's not based on the employee, it's based on the employer. There are certain types of employers that will be certified by the immigration office, by the tax authority, and by the workforce agency. Everybody will certify now. And they will vet this employer that he's a highly versatile employer. So he needs at least 2 years of economic activity in his background. He needs to have previous experience with non-EU citizens. And these employers can go and recruit exactly what they need, but they will also be limited to the list of occupations which are mentioned as deficient by the Romanian government. So until we have that list, we don't know how it's going to be made or what is going to represent. But these employers are special because they don't go through a workforce agency. They go directly, for example, to India. They say that we are looking for a cook. We need a cook. We have a chain of restaurants and this is the cook that we want. They seek him, they identify him, they know how to recruit them, they know how to put all the clauses in the contract, they bring him to Romania and they can guarantee with their big business that they are going to take care of the employee, and if anything goes wrong, they would be liable for sending him back and putting him in touch with somebody else to be recruited. There's a whole procedure. Hopefully, if you come to Romania with your one employer, it will not be as it was in the past. You come here, so you are seeking another employer. You come here to that employer and you seek employment with them. So these are the shortcuts. Now let's move to the regular procedure. The regular procedure is, I would say, a 3-step procedure. So now we are going to have all the employers who want to recruit non-EU citizens. They would need to go through a platform. It's called Work in Romania. And this employer needs to be certified by the Romanian government. So the Romanian government will see that they have no debt to the Romanian state. They would need to see that they have at least 1 year of economic activity. And another important obligation they must fulfill would be that in the last year, they should have had at least an employee. So now you are limited to the number of non-EU employees that you can get to the median number of employees that you had last year. For example, if you're a startup, you had 2 employees last year, you would not be granted to hire an additional 10 employees. So for example, if you're a startup, last year you had 1 employee and now you have a big contract and you want to hire 10 non-EU citizens for this new contract, the law forbids you to do so. They are saying that, hey, look, you don't have enough experience. Bringing somebody from Southeast Asia to Romania is a big risk for the employees. You must find somebody local in order to employ, preferably Romanian European citizens, until you grow your business, and you can employ only the median number of the employees from your last year. The second person who needs to be certified would be a workforce placement agency. Now, this workforce placement agency is an intermediary that the Romanian government forces the employer to have. And technically, the workforce placement agency will identify the employee. The employer just needs to be vetted by the government. Afterwards, they put an offer. I have 10 positions for bricklayers in my company that I need filled out by non-EU citizens. The workforce agency will see that report, what you need, what experience the employees need to have, and so on. And they will contact him and say, hey, look, we identified these employees in India. These are the employees. Please have a discussion with them. Be sure that everything fills out. Maybe you'll have an interview, a test, something like that. And at the end of the procedure, if everything is squared out, the employer and the employee can enter into a contract. Now, another bracket, there's not one contract, there are 3 contracts. The miracles of the Romanian law. So, the 3 important contracts which are with this new procedure. The first contract technically will be between the Romanian employer and the workforce agency. They need to come to the terms of the agreement in order for the workforce placement agency to provide workforce to the employer. So probably there will be some fees, some running costs, because the workforce agency will have on-hand obligations and ongoing obligations after the match is fulfilled. And I'm very curious on the pricing and how everything works, because the workforce agency also guarantees the contract that the Romanian company will have with the foreign employee. And now, according to the new law, the Romanian workforce agency cannot take any money from the employee. So the employee somehow has no real obligation in the contract, and everything must be covered by the employer. And if something happens with the employer and the employee, the workforce agency repairs. Again, I'm very curious about what's gonna happen in practice. So let's go back to the contracts. The first contract is between the employer and the workforce agency for fees purposes and obligations, ongoing maintenance, and so on. Once the employee is found, technically there are 2 more contracts that need to be executed. There will be a workforce placement contract in which both the employer and the employee and the workforce agency, all 3 of them will sign, in which the employee will be informed about the obligations that he has in Romania, what the provisions of the law states, what is the offer, the conditions of working, and so on and so forth. Everything should be more transparent for the employee. That was the mindset of our government when they adopted this new law. the employee must be protected. So now everybody who takes a non-EU employee, they need to have more warranties that they will be kind with the non-EU employee, which is good, but hopefully it will not come down to closing the whole market because nobody wants to take risk and so on and so forth. And finally, the contract between the employer and the employee, which is the employment agreement. Now it needs to be bilingual. It doesn't need to be only in Romanian. It also needs to have additional provisions regarding the time. And one more important thing for the employer, now they need to give you language courses and integration in the Romanian society, so you'd be adapted to the Romanian culture a lot faster throughout the procedure. However, be aware that these courses, they can be the non-EU employee can be forced to reimburse them to reimburse the expenses to the employer if he leaves earlier. So there are some caveats here, and it's not everything square with whomever pays what. So be aware that if you terminate your work agreement faster, you could be forced to reimburse some expenses, or you would be obliged to support some costs, respectively not receive the end salary that you would typically get if those courses were not provided to you. Another interesting development from my point of view is this should have been standard until now, but it's something interesting from my point of view, is that now all the salaries for non-EU citizens, they must be paid via wire transfer directly into their bank accounts. You cannot take your payments cash as a non-EU citizen from your employer. Although I believe this is a very, very good thing, I would say the problem would be with opening the bank accounts, as we've assisted a few clients during our activity. It's not the easiest procedure to open bank accounts for non-EU citizens. Some banks require you to be there with a translator to speak their language and so on and so forth. So it's gonna be also interesting to see how banks will put this in practice, especially, I don't know, if you employ a Russian citizen. Usually there are now limitations with banking with Russian citizens. So everything is kind of fluid in this period, and we'll see how it develops in the end. Final note that I want to make on the new procedure is that given this new procedure that is now ongoing, be aware that the workforce agency will always maintain, or it's supposed to maintain, contact between the employer and the employee and see that everything is going down correctly. If something happens and you do not go at work for more than 3 days, they need to notify the immigration office regarding this absence from work, and they will need to be on your track to see whatever happens with your situation in Romania. Also, in case you terminate your work agreement with your employer, the old law provided that for 1 year you cannot have the initiative to end your work agreement. The Romanian government, I think, saw this a little bit abusive. So from 1 year, now it's down to 6 months. And there is another obligation. If a workforce agency brought you to Romania, you cannot change the workforce agency for at least 2 years. So again, this will be again interesting how it's going to be developed. If you can go out of Romania and then apply for a new visa with a new workforce agency, or you are stuck with that workforce agency for 2 years and you cannot find another workforce agency, and things are going to be clarified in the future, probably with the practice of the immigration office and so on. But hopefully this will not be a hard ban on changing workforce agencies based on their competition, to say so, between them. I see a few possible issues in the future. Good. Now, if you like this video until now, we would highly appreciate if you hit the like button down below. It really helps our channel out, and you would also be helping out other non-EU citizens who are in need of transparency regarding the new legal procedures and how we see and how everything evolves, preferably them being up to date and seeing how things will evolve in the future and what to expect. Now, this is gonna be a long video. I don't know why. It's gonna be long. We spoke about the new regulations, what they imply, my take on the matter, and how I see the new procedures unfolding. However, we are going to go to the next step, and this would be the provisions for employees or non-EU citizens I mentioned initially that we are going to discuss about the new law, its provisions, and how I see the new law unfolding with regards to new cases, to say, in the future, and the transition between the Romanian current system to the new system we are going to discuss now. So it's gonna be a long video. I hope you guys are bearing with me. So for those of you who are now in Romania employed with an employer, technically there are no changes. You don't need to find a workforce placement agency or somebody to contract for your current situation. However, if you are changing your employer, things will start to have some different outcomes depending on your situation. So I'm going to take the provisions that are now into force, to say so, and help you guys if you're in one of these situations to understand what to expect and what should be done. So the law entered into force in April. There is a time frame until the 6th of August 2026 until the new platforms goes live. So according to the provisions from the Romanian government, until then we should have registered employers and we should have registered workforce agencies. All applications that were submitted for a work permit based on the new law, so physically submitted, the appointment date took place and somebody went there and submitted the file. It was taken by the immigration officer and is now under review. They are going to be decided based on the old law. Second update would be that if you have a file that is appointed, for example, in July, you don't need to cancel it. The file will be taken in July and it will be processed based on the old law. If by any chance you have an appointment that is over August 6th, probably that appointment is cancelled already, or the system was already limited by the immigration office, because for a few months we could not find any appointments. So if you got by any chance something over the 6th of August, or your employer says that he's gonna submit after the 6th of August, that's cancelled. It cannot be done. That's the provision from the law. It's set in stone. The date is clear. Nothing is going to happen on the old procedure after the 6th of August 2026. Now, there is a particular case which I find interesting. You are now with an employer. Let's say that you found another employer, or your employment got terminated. I hope it will not get terminated until the 6th of August, but let's say you're in this position. You are still in that legal time frame of 90 days to find another employer, but I see here some problems because the appointment website does not work. However, there is a provision in the law which states that if you're in this particular situation, you are in the 90 days limit, your employment agreement stopped, the immigration office should take your file and process it faster. However, not all the documents are in the system. So I don't know how that is going to happen. Beats me to say so. But it's going to be an interesting procedure to see it unfold. I do not hope I'll have a case like that, but if we have it, I'm gonna be very interested to see how it's gonna get solved, because you cannot go through the platform. Technically, everything needs to go through the platform, but the platform is closed. However, the law states that they should take you in advance and put you under the current law. Good, I have that out of my system. Now we can go to the real hot take that it's now on all Facebook groups and so on. It's with regards to the entering into legality of all non-EU citizens who are now in illegal stay. So the Romanian government passed a provision which is a two-step enforcement or two-step procedure, to say so, for all non-EU citizens who are currently in Romania. However, they need to have two conditions to be eligible. One, you must be in illegal stay. So if your employment, for example, stopped in April 2026, it's May 2026, you are not in illegal stay. You have still 90 days to apply for a new work permit. So you go through the procedure I mentioned earlier. You should get advanced appointment and so on. However, if your employment agreement stopped in 2025, you're passed over the 90 days to find another employer. However, the immigration office did not issue a return decision. It doesn't matter if you have a valid or canceled residency permit. It matters only if the immigration office issued to you a return decision. If you have a return decision, there is nothing that you can do other than go to court against it. If you miss the deadline, if you lost in court, I'm sorry for you. This procedure will not help you in your situation. There might be other slim chances for you to get in legal state, but now we are not discussing those. So in this particular situation in which you are in illegal stay and you don't have a return decision, you have 60 days from when the law entered into force. That's 22nd of June 2026 to go at the immigration office and declare your address and say that you want to benefit from the provisions of the new law. If you miss those 60 days, you cannot go and enter a legal stay according to the next procedure that I'm going to tell you. So in these 60 days, you must go to the immigration office and you must declare your stay in Romania and the address where you are living. The immigration office needs to know where you are living. So you go in these 60 days, you are in legal stay, you declare your address, the immigration office will give you a page which states that you are in illegal stay and you gave your address and you are legally staying in Romania until the 31st of December 2026. However, do note that you will not be eligible to go with the old law. You need to go with the new law. So either you become highly qualified and you find an employer who will take you as a highly qualified employee. However, from how I see the law, they want you to go with a workforce placement agency because they want somebody to take care of you and they consider you that you did not perform well, or there was some kind of abuse you did not understand with your employer, and that's why you entered into illegal stay. I would have many arguments against that. However, this is how I see the Romanian government putting everything together. So do note that you have this period until the end of the year to find a workforce placement agency and an employer, and to get into legal state by the end of the year based on the new occupations that will be published, and we will know where everything goes. One more caveat to say so, for current employees that are in legal stay and would want to get in legal stay in the future, for example, change your employers, do note that you have a period of 1 year from when the law entered into force to change employers that will be in the platform, but without a workforce placement agency. So as long as you are in legal stay and everything works out, I think the new platform would do everything more efficient. So technically, we would not have those long queues at the immigration office waiting for getting appointments, getting your file in, being analyzed for another 30 days and losing a lot of time. Everybody would be pre-qualified. You just go say, hey, I met John Incorporated. I like working for John Incorporated. John Incorporated has a position for me and it's on the list of wanted workforce for Romania. So I'll go start with them and everything will take a few days. I think that is what is going to happen in a way or another, or what they hope to happen, but we will see. So thank you for watching. I hope you got a lot of valuable information from this video, and until next time, do note that you can always follow us also on Facebook and Instagram, as we post there also. We also have a TikTok channel. So thank you very much. I hope you got everything that you're looking from from this video. If you have a particular question, please drop it down below. We'll try to answer all the comments in due time, or you can send an email to our office and we will be in touch. Have a nice day and see you soon. Bye.